Hello, my friend. Our topic for today on the calendar is sports quilts. I'm Pat Sloan. This is my daily video, the Monday night version. And I generally on Monday give you something you can share. So today it's sports quilts. You know what? I don't know that I've ever made a sports themed quilt. I'm sitting here racking my brain thinking, unless you consider like sailing, I've done one with boats, but I don't consider them, I didn't make them as a sports quilt. You know, I didn't make them thinking, oh, I know somebody who's into racing sailboats and I'll make them a quilt. So I'm curious, have you made a sports themed quilt? I know a lot of you have because I see them over on Quilt Along with Pat Sloan. There are tons of sports themes quilts that come rolling through with a lot of football, because the football franchises will license the logos and things, because you know they have to officially license it for you to find fabric with it printed, and so they tend to do that. Now I don't know that maybe the basketball teams and college teams, but just there's a really cute baseball quilt out there. I'll link you to that one. That it's made with a lot of scraps and then the baseballs on it. So that one's really cute. It's done by Cluck Cluck Sew, and over at the Fat Quarter Shop you can get that one. And somebody in one of our friends in the group made that one. Maybe during the summer I remember seeing it. So, anyways, if you don't have your calendar, be sure you download it below. Also, I'm trying to pin all the links as the first comment. So I don't know that it's always working because of all the links. I don't know if YouTube rather is not showing it. It seems I can see it sometimes and not, so take a look at that. But there's some three little dots somewhere, particularly if you're on mobile. They hide that, and these three little dots, when you click them, it's like boom, it opens up all of the text that I have under there. So this is our tree day. Yes, charming trees, charming trees. We should all have a top done. So let's take a look at my little one first. No, let's take a look at the big one first, because I'm going to show you some other stuff with the little one. So the big one, I didn't hang it up because instead I have the little wishes up there. Yeah. So here is the full-size charm pack, the 5-inch square. So if you were making these are pretty much, I mean, I feel like they're kind of like a lap quilt. I mean, if you did another row, which means you need another charm pack at least, you know, this is from my face to the floor pretty much. So they're pretty big. Ta-da! So here it is. Now this one, whoops, it's upside down. We can't have the tree upside down. That's just wrong. So here it is. Here's the tree. And this one is quilted with straight line quilting, because that's your next thing to do, is get it quilted. So these are straight line quilting, and my friend Sue did it for me because she did it a little while back, so that I'd have it. And she did, okay, so for the charm pack, she's got a straight line on either side, and then she did 1, 2, 3 in the middle. So that's her spacing. So basically you would straight line on the seam, you know, go right through these, use a measure guideline the whole way down wherever you can. You could do like a strip of painter's tape to keep track, or just eyeball it. A lot of people like to put painter's tape because at least they can sew right next to it. And then divide the block into 4 sections. So you basically would do right down the middle again, and then on the side and on the side. And that's a really easy split. It also gives it enough quilting so that you don't have it too loose and it's not too tight. You know, like little matchstick quilting would be like if you were leaving like a 1/4 of an inch and then another 1/4 of an inch. I mean, it would be very, very tight. It looks gorgeous, but it's more like for wall hangings because they become very stiff, whereas this is super soft and drapable. I haven't washed it yet. I did do a cream on the back because I wanted to keep it really light, the whole thing very light. You could do a Be Gorgeous, of course, with a red on the back, or one of the other colors than here, like the print. See, I just didn't think ahead. I didn't buy this, like that would be a really pretty background, and backing rather. I just didn't think ahead to purchase it. So I had to use what I had, and I used my Bonnie Lane, the cream in there. So that is the big one. Now let's see, I'll just go ahead and put it back there. Yes, it is so, so cute. Now the little one is the mini charms. They're 2.5. They're two separate patterns, just because the Fat Quarter Shop thought it would be easier so it wouldn't confuse people trying to read two sizes in the same pattern. So this is the 2.5-inch with, so it is, to me, it's wall hanging size. It's not big enough for a baby quilt. I think it's like 29 inches. So if you wanted a baby quilt, you could do a couple more rounds. Like if you have somebody who has a baby born in December, wouldn't that be darling? This is a baby quilt. So I used cross weave. That's the fabric I used for the background. And it has this, it's a little bit of a woven, and it has this sort of visual of a line. So I like it. I like it a lot. This is as big as it'll be. Now I want to show you binding and what I'm thinking about for quilting it. So I might do the same concept that Sue did for the large one. I might just do the straight line, but I don't know. I've been doing a little free motion, and that's not going too badly. Plus you can use your walking foot to do straight line quilting that is not just, you can outline with your walking foot, you can do horizontal, I can do the wave. So let's first look at that. Let's first look at what are the possibilities. So if I did straight line, there's a pretty high contrast here. The big one is done with cream thread, which there's a lot of cream background. So if I went with that same concept, I would use like a dark gray thread, or maybe some sort of medium dark gray, not too black, not too black, because I want it to blend onto these. So that would mean I would use the same thing. Or I could do just the dark, like if I was going to outline the tree, I could outline the tree, and then it'd be kind of cool to make like rays up here coming off the top. Or you could just keep outlining the tree as far as you can, like this. So that's called echo quilting, all the way out to the edge. In here I could just do straight, like 1, 2, 3, 4, like on each seam, like pretty much right in the ditch, and then just split it twice and get that running around. And then out here I could do the same thing. I could do 1 here close, and then 2, and come all the way around. Now you could free motion all of this. If I were going to free motion it, I would want to press the background down a lot. So I would do a lot of small, tight quilting. And then in here, I would do maybe more loose, open quilting. You're not going to see the quilting on this part. You will see it on here. Here it's going to blend in a lot. And I would use maybe a light gray, because that will blend into the grays, and it'll stand a bit out on the white and the red, but the light gray would work really well. So I haven't quite decided where I'm going to go, but there are some ideas for you. You could do an overall on this, but it's small, and you might as well play around. If you're not just going to do straight lines, or something like that simple, play around with some options with your free motion or your walking foot quilting, like just to see what you can do, see what you can accomplish. And I have to show you something funny. I'll get it out here. I have pink in my sewing machine, and I had to put, whoops, what did I do here? I got stuck. So I had to put let me pull it up. So I had pink, and I had to put the borders on. So I just used the pink thread. Do you do that? Do you just decide like whatever thread is in there you're going to sew with? That's what I do. I'm not like going to go and get gray thread out to do this. I don't even think, did I use gray? No, I used white to begin with. So even when I did the patchwork, I did, off-white, but I just used the pink that was in there that I was free motion quilting the Paris with. Now for binding, I did not purchase any of this extra. This mini charm pack I got, I did not purchase any additional fabric. So that means two things. One, I have, and I have not done anything with them yet, I have this tiny stack of 2.5-inch squares. So, I'm thinking of sewing them together so that they can be like on the back. Like, if I did the backing in all gray, and then maybe these would be like a strip down here on the backing, you know, just down the side, and I would have gray, then the strip, and then the other gray. I mean, that really doesn't matter. That's like a lot of work for, that's a lot of work for wall hanging that nobody's going to see the back. So my other option is I could make a couple little coasters or mug rugs out of these. You know, that would be really cute to just put in the living room or to give away. You know, they're the sheep. Look at the sheep. So cute. He is so cute. And you know, so most of these don't have, like, I don't have any snowman left. You know, they've got some holly. So I could just do a couple of mug rugs, which originally I thought I would do that strip because I thought I would use these as starting and stopping units while I was doing other things, but that never happened. I didn't do it. And so I ended up, now the top is done and I'm going to quilt it this week, and I haven't done this, so I can't decide. But binding, I can figure out. And so I'm going to do red, but I don't have from the fabric line, so what do? I went looking around, what do I have? And this is a fabric line called Blossom from my friend Christopher Thomas and at Riley Blake. And it comes in these, you know, it comes in lots of colors. So I had gotten a bundle of it so that I would have all these different shades that I could work from. Now here are 3 different reds. Now you may not, you know, you can kind of see this one's a tad more orangey, just slightly towards the more orange. This one is probably almost identical to these, you know, because these are, you know, it's like this one might be a shade off from that. And then this one, the darker one, is a little bit darker, which is actually kind of nice. So I'm not going to use this one because it's just the wrong tone. It's got a little bit more orange in it. So it'll be either one of these. And then the binding will have just these little pops of these blossoms, which look like little snowflakes since it's got Christmassy stuff. So there you go, the one or the other. And it wouldn't really matter, I don't think, because there are a couple of shades of these that are darker. Like that particular one is a little darker, and the snowman heads are a little darker. And then I think like this guy is more this one. Actually, I think the darker one is going to be it. Okay, there, we did it. We made it. We made the decision. That's what it is. Yes, yes, yes. So I wrote on the other day that, what was that the other day? Well, I was doing my gallery. So did I talk to you about this on Saturday? Who knows? Honestly, I don't know what I talk about each day. I'm talking to you every day, and sometimes people write me and they're like, well, what day did you tell me about this? Or which day did you talk about that? And I'm like, I have not been, you know, YouTube gives you a way to do playlists, they're called. So it's basically you can categorize a video under a playlist. So I could do one just called tutorials, but then you'd still have to scroll through those. Since these videos are not strictly on one topic, I have tended not to do that, which just means you need to go in and use the search. And if I've put the words into like the text, it'll show up, or it might even, YouTube might even get it from the translate, the closed caption, because it creates text for that. So if you do a search, you might be able to find what you're looking for. And I do have some things categorized, and I categorized each month, you know, just because I thought that seemed like a good idea. I don't know if that's worth it or not. You can just find the month and go, but I'm trying to decide what to do there, because I would like to do some of these videos in the future that are just one topic, so that I can do something that is just a tutorial or just a how to do this kind of thing. And then it wouldn't be chatty like this, and it wouldn't be sort of all the different things going on. But those take a while to plan, and what I'm finding is because I'm doing them daily, I kind of run out of steam to create those kind of tutorials right now. And that might be a little bit because of just, you know, we're all kind of have various levels of funk going on because of the pandemic, and it's a very stressful time having to deal with that. The world is dealing with that. So plus then I had my wrists. So for me, I'm thinking maybe in a, you know, maybe by the beginning of the year, I will start to feel like I want to do the tutorials again. And if I do, then I would probably have that as its own video. And so for the day on the calendar, it would be a tutorial day. But you know, I just am not ready to commit to that because I don't want to stress myself out having to put that together. So anyways, that's just a little background as to when you're trying to find something, because if I've talked about it, I don't keep track. I just don't have a way, you know, to search easily. I can, yeah, I just don't. So try to keep track yourself. You can save the video if you liked it. You can create your own playlist of Pat Sloan videos, and you can save the ones that you're like, I want to go back and see that again. Save it on your own playlist so that you can find it again. It's a good, you know, there's great ways to do that within YouTube. All right, so talking about documenting. So on my gallery, I put more quilts. The other day I went out, I'm just going to get this up here so I don't forget, as I went out and pulled about 14 pieces to document. And this is basically my jump start, because I needed to see what, I needed to go through the whole process of getting them, photographing them, looking up where they were published, if they were published in my archives, loading the pictures, resizing the pictures, putting them on my gallery. It's an entire process. And so to do 14 of them, it took me probably about 3 hours. And so now I know, I sort of know what that time frame is to do that. And I also need to not be overwhelmed by the sheer amount I need to document. Yeah. But I did do the math, and it might take me about 50 days if I were doing 3 hours a day. But I'm not going to do it every day, so that means I can space it out. This is how you sort of track your own projects. You realize how long does it take you to do one portion of it, how many of those little portions make up the entire project and all its miscellaneous things. How many days is that? And then you schedule yourself. So if I had a goal to do it, to finish documenting by the spring, I think that's a good goal, because by the spring, I want to be outside again. I don't want to be sort of having to deal with, you know, sitting at the computer and for a couple hours to document stuff. So I'm thinking I might try like 2 or 3 times a week that I do a chunk of them, you know, do a group of 10 to 14 pieces. Oh, it's scary. It's scary to think about. But I know once it gets going and I do more, like today I might do some more. So speaking of documenting, then a lot of people, when I mentioned that in my Facebook group, which is Quilt Along with Pat Sloan, that you were like, well, what do you document? So think logically. That's how I am. I always think logically. What do you want to know? When you want to go back in 5 years, what do you want to know about that quilt? Do you want to know the name of it? Do you want to know the pattern you used? Do you want to know the fabric line you used? Do you want to know when you made it? Do you want to know when you started it, when you finished it, or do you just care when you finished it? Do you want to know who you gave it to? Do you want to know the size of it, or does that matter? Do you want to track any other information? Like what other information would you want that maybe you know, several years down the road? Now these are the journals I've been telling you about. I also am linking you to a page where I have a free 1 sheet that you can, you know, it's 2 sheets that you can try out too. But the journal is nice because you could do it by year. It lets you track 50 projects. And in here, on each project page, this is the information. And you could, you know, do time tracking and notes. You know, I've showed you the cross stitch one. This is the quilt one, so it has just a little bit different information, like the fabric collection and the type of blocks you use, like if you did it yourself. So these are great if you want to keep track. I need to transfer some notes I had from another book over to this one, because I'm going to transfer it to this style book now, and I need to get them out of the other notes out of the other book. So that's another project for documenting. A lot of documenting. It would be nice, realistically, if by the end of 2021 everything was documented. I mean, that would be realistic. Perfect world would be like fabulous to be done by spring. Maybe I take a break off in the summer. I don't do any wherever I'm at and finish up in the winter. Yes. So that's what I'm looking at. So it's a long project if I'm not going to just stop and spend a month and a half every day doing some. I think I would get bored, you know. It's a little tedious to go searching around. So if you've never documented anything, which some of you say you've never even taken a picture of the quilts, I challenge you to do it. Get going. Do it, do it, do it. So speaking of finished quilts, this one's, I'm messing up my hair. That one's on the wall is a Little Wishes that I managed to sew while I was just being able to start sewing again. I could finish up a couple blocks. I made all those 9 patches, sewed them all together. My friend Sue cut the strips for me, and then Cindy and Dennis quilted it at the spa. So it has got like a star quilting on it. I need to take a picture outside. I have to hand stitch the hanging sleeve down, and I need to do the label. So those are 2 things that still need to be done on there. The binding is done, and I have to do a photo outside. So, and then document it and put it on my gallery, because I know several of you wanted to see it on the gallery, and put it on the page where the free pattern is. So there's a free pattern for the Little Wishes for block, and then I will write down how I finished this one. So more writing. That's like, I do a lot of writing. Writing you don't really see per se, but it's, you know, I'm having to do it, you know, pretty much all the time. All the time. So this week you're going to work on those trees, and so if you want to do a jelly roll, we'll take like a week break and then we'll start a jelly roll quilt just for fun, because a lot of you have jelly rolls, or you've bought my my jelly rolls from my fabric line at Morrison Park. And there's 2 jelly roll patterns I've been showing you. And I had some questions from people, and I thought, well, these were really good questions, because I knew what it meant, but I hadn't really read closely. And if you've not read, anyways, let me show you. So on these patterns, it has a supply list. It says 1 Harmony jelly roll and 1 Junior jelly roll. And so basically, let me hold this. I'm looking on my monitor here. Okay, so 1 Harmony jelly roll, that means this was written a while ago, and the Fat Quarter Shop wrote the actual fabric line. They were using a fabric line called Harmony, which was when they did their sample that they showed when they released this the first time. And then down here they used what was, and then they tell you how you need 35 2.5-inch wide fabric strips. So that means you can cut your own fabric strips. You don't have to buy a jelly roll, but if you do buy a jelly roll, you'll have a few left over. That's what that's telling you. So then you also need, because they're just doing 2 packs. So this is a Junior jelly roll, which was 18. There it says 18 strips. So Junior jelly rolls, you need to watch when you buy a jelly roll, because if it says Junior, it has half the number of strips in the package. That's just the way the manufacturers have come up. They've decided that they would make full jelly rolls, which is 42 strips, and then they would do like 22, 21 strips, whatever the juniors are, I don't know. So this is telling you to do this particular quilt, and then there's no sashing. These blocks are all just set side by side, so you could buy, you know, you need to cut your background color, or buy a Junior jelly roll of solids if you want. Then the other one is very similar, the pattern, which there you can see that one. This one, the fabric requirement, where is that page? I turned it over. Okay, so once again, they wrote the fabric line name, Berry Mary jelly roll. So that's what that is. They used a fabric line called Berry Mary when they did the original quilt. So okay, so I hope that's clear now and you won't get confused. And then remember, I'm going to keep telling you about Stomp. Eventually I'm going to make an elephant myself with Morrison Park, and I'm going to do this one pretty much like Wendy did hers, so with Morrison Park. And you can get a digital pattern now. The print patterns, we sold out the first run, and Wendy's shipping more to the Fat Quarter Shop. So it will be up there in just a few days. This is Monday, so probably maybe by the middle of the week, Thursday maybe, they might be loaded up there. So it just depends on how long it took in the mail to get to her. But you have time, because we're not doing that one till the end of December. So if you want to get the printed pattern and then get your fabric. You want to make it in Morrison Park because it's going to be so cute. They're so cute. The elephants. Yes. Now for some reason I saw these baskets and I thought I think I need those. So I'm going to show you this little like basket to haul stuff around. I got these. I put stuff in them already. Let me show you down here. They're still a little squished to an oval. And take this stuff out. But they're a round basket with a handle. And when they came, you know, they were shipped like this. There's 2 of them. And they're really reasonable price. And they're just so cute. They had a couple other colors. This is like a black and white. And I think they had a tan and maybe all white. So I thought this would be great because when I have the rolling cart here, let me show you this. In the rolling cart, I get all this little stuff that I want to show you, or I haven't shown you yet, or I have shown you, but I'm going to show you again. So I'm keeping it in here. But it just was like always in the bottom here, just rolling around. So I thought, well, if I put one of these in here, I could actually do 2 of them if I needed to do 2, and they would be so efficient, right? Yes. So let me show you another. I have to show you another pin. I've showed you the pumpkin, right? But I also, right, the pumpkin pin. It's so cute. But I got these also. And, you know, it's sort of like we're celebrating Christmas most of November and December, except for the few days around Thanksgiving where we celebrate Thanksgiving. So anyways, I got Christmas pins, aren't they? Look at the hedgehog and the mushroom. Oh my gosh, I just love them. I might just start wearing the pins. When I worked in an office years ago and had jackets, I always put pins on my jackets, and really artsy fun pins. That was my gig, is to have a pin. I loved wearing a pin to the office. So those go in my little basket there, and they won't be like flopping all around. Now, I showed these before, and I will show them to you again. They're from the Confidence Stitch. I got these in the other day. They do a swatch club, which is pretty rare. There's not too many places do a swatch club. So they do a lot of clothing there. So if you're a clothing maker, I'm going to show you the clothing ones too, because it's really nice to have that little swatch of fabric. I used to get a swatch club back in the early 80s. Because of course there was no internet, and so I did a swatch club for fabric because I was doing a lot of clothing then. So let's take a look at these. The Confidence Stitch, Kate runs this, and it's just a fabulous shop. I'm going to show you the cottons first. So here she is, and she generally, some of the pieces, like here, she's got, let me get you closer. She shows you a project. This is how I met her. So she made up one of my projects, my free projects, with fabrics from the swatch club that quarter. And so here she has this really cute table runner. She tells you got all this stuff, and there she is with the fabrics. Look at this. These white cone flowers are to die for. I love them. And then she writes about them underneath. So when you pull the swatch up, and these are all usable swatches. They're double stick tape on there, so you can pull these out and put them in your scrap bin if you don't happen to, or whatever. I mean, maybe you buy some of them, maybe you don't. But I just think this is just so gorgeous. So you subscribe to the club, and then it comes like this, taped. Now she has 2 for clothing, cool fabrics and warm fabrics. So here are the cool fabrics, and she gives you suggestions for patterns. She has lots of clothing there. They make a lot of clothing there, so if you have questions, you can call into the shop. And then once again, she will tell you whether it's canvas, tell you about the fabric, and then even more underneath with the pricing and all the information. So this is pretty neat stuff. This would make gorgeous pillows. Oh my gosh, I love that color. This sort of a neat plum. What is that? That's silk, raw silk. Oh, they feel so fabulous. Okay, remember I still have those 2 patterns that I'm going to make clothing. Still, I'm thinking about it. Okay, here's the warm tones. Ta-da! I love, 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 love. This is Tencel Twill. I don't know if you've ever worn Tencel fabric. It is fabulous. So there you go. That's how the Swatch Club works from the Confidence Stitch. And she also has quite a bit of quilting things. When I was doing the panel with the butterfly, Kate carried that, and she also did some scrap bundles for a while. So a bunch of you got to meet her when you went over, and she did the scrap bundle. It's extravaganza. But it's worth checking out. She's on my shopping page. So anytime you think, oh, well, what was that shop? You just go over to my shopping page, and it links to all the stores that I work with. So Hygge, Hygge, Hygge. That's our theme for the cozy times, for I don't know, all of the rest of this year and probably into next year. I'm going to be working on cozy things, the Hygge lifestyle, which is the Danish way of living and bringing really cozy things in. Our block this past Wednesday was all about nature. And so I'm curious, have you looked at nature? Have you gone out? What have you been doing? Because what I've been thinking about is getting a plant. I mean, that sounds like, okay, yeah, you get a plant. I'm going to get an indoor plant. I've not had an indoor plant in I don't know how long. So I've been doing a little research. I got on a plant group on Facebook to find out what would be a really good one. I saw this really neat stand that's kind of a Danish modern stand. When I lived in Europe, we had a lot of Danish furniture, so I don't have that kind of furniture now. I have craftsman furniture, but it's just that whole style I really like, because I spent a lot of years and that was what my family had. So I don't know. I'm going to mail order the plant. That's what I'm thinking. This group I got into, a lot of people mail order plants and they come really well. But I need to do it soon because the weather's going to get colder in places. And so here, eventually, I don't want plants coming through the mail after it gets too cold. They probably won't even send them. So I'm thinking of just getting a snake plant, which is, they're sort of tall, spiky, because I want to get this stand and then the pot goes on top. So these will be sort of the tall, spiky, and they're very forgiving. I don't have a lot of direct sunlight due to the front porch and trees from the neighbor's house. So it's light, but it's not like this bright, light. And I don't really have room in my studio. I mean, I could put a little pot over there, but then I know I'd be constantly moving it. Then here there really isn't a good place. So I haven't done it yet. Haven't pulled the trigger. Haven't pushed that buy button. But I'm getting close. I'm getting close. I got to do it soon if I'm going to order it. Hey, you got to try stuff every so often. And that's the cozy thing I'm thinking of, is I want to bring some plants. I used to have tons of plants, tons. Lots of African violets when I worked at my last office job, which I was there for 12 years. I had tons of African violets. They loved the particular environment we were in there. Anyway, there you go. I've just rattled on again. I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for hanging out. And Monday night, I love the live chat that we have. And for those of you, while we were doing the live chat, I was telling you about the super chat feature, which is a way for you during the live chat, when it runs the first time, to do an amount. You can send an amount to me as like a support for running all these videos, particularly for people who might not be buying my patterns, you might not be buying my fabric or using my links to shop because you shop other ways. If you wanted to support things, you can use the super chat, and it's there all the time for all the lives, but it's fun on Monday because you can buy cute emojis if they pop up, and we're all there longer period of time on Monday nights. So I love you. Thank you for supporting our small family business. You are absolutely the best. Mwah! I'll see you online.